Hello everyone. So, welcome. We are going to be doing some mass production today. I'm not going to do Final Fantasy Day. Final Fantasy is supposed to be yesterday. Had a little bit of a mental tweak and didn't really get around to streaming yesterday just because of the way my brain was working at the time. Have I timed this perfectly in time when the server has been down? Possibly, possibly not. Watching Droid's previous stram. Strams all bad. Watch no strams. Oh no, server's up. Excellent. Let's pop the volume up a little bit so we can hear all the wonderful beasties of Minecraft. So, let's do a quick little run through of what we've got going on at the moment, and then we'll have a talk about where we're going to be. This is our new storage room. You can see that it's a little bit tidier. We've gotten rid of the chests so that we don't have the double up problem that you get in storage. We've got an anti-barrel, and then we've got 2 modular storage units and a whole bunch of crates just for excess storage. Up here we have all of our barrels. We've got stuff for things that we've got a lot of. We've got iron ingots, we've got nickel ingots, aluminium. We've got most of the ingots that we've got a lot of. We've got apatite, lapis. Some of these barrels have been upgraded so they can store more than 64 stacks. We've got all of our wood and our saplings. We've got the bits and pieces we gathered from the nether. And we've got all of our basic materials over there. We've cleared out the house nice and easily. And as far as like what we've been doing in the base itself, that's kind of where we're finished with the base itself. What I've been doing in between streams, however, oh yeah, we've got this, which is going to be our End.io room, being set up by Zana. So we've got the dragon scale prismarine style glowstone, and we've got the white concrete. If anyone on the server knows where a Ender Fortress is, not an Ender Fortress, a Guardian Fortress, a deep sea temple is, that would be a nice little thing. Hey, Lumaplays, welcome to the stream. My brain's still a little bit twiggy, but I'm fine. Random occasional lag spikes. The main thing I was looking at in between streams was power. Because at the moment, all we've got for power is thermoelectric. We've got a diesel generator, which we're not feeding enough diesel for it to keep going, so the 4000 RF that could produce. Yes, Lumaplays, you were on the last stream. Of course I remember you. You don't have to ask me if I remember you. That's... Whatever. Droid, don't try and understand the peoples. So at the moment we've got solar panels. Now these solar panels aren't bad. We've got 80 and 120 RF per tick from the solar panels. So they're allowing miner to mine at a moderate speed. You can see that we're getting blocks coming in at a nice regular tick, and then they're getting pulled out at a nice regular tick. And then we've got all of our spare stuff coming into here. And you can see we've got a decent amount of stuff coming in. We're not like rolling in it, but I mean, we've got a stack and a half of diamonds there, so that's not a problem. So we've been doing a little bit of that. We made a few solar panels for that to keep it going. So the main thing we've been working on, is this thing up here. This is our deep resonance chamber. So our deep resonance chamber is entirely using deep resonance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be running through some deep resonance today. One second, just need to type something out here. So we're going to be running through a little bit. Just going to be running through a little bit of deep resonance. So deep resonance exists, and you're going to find a couple of different things in the wild when you have deep resonance. What you're going to find in the wild when you have deep resonance is you're going to find resonating ore. In the wild, you're going to find resonating ore, and you're going to find that's going to be in the overworld, in the nether, and in the end. And you're also going to find resonating crystals. Now, the resonating crystals you find in the wild are terrible, and you don't want to use them. Resonating crystals you find in the wild are going to be chucking out thousands and thousands of radiation, actually close near 200,000 radiation, in exchange for about 200 RF per tick. That's terrible. 2,000 radiation for 200 RF per tick is absolutely awful. So instead of using the ones that you find in the wild, my recommendation is that you should basically completely ignore the ones you find in the wild as far as power generation goes, and instead you should definitely be looking at moving directly into manufactured ones. But just to give you an idea, here is a manufactured crystal. It's not a perfect manufactured crystal. Thank you very much for the like, Luna. Hey, Electrofried. It's not a perfect manufactured crystal. You can see it's 74, 74, 92, 99.2. But this thing is generating 14,600 RF per tick, and it has about 7 million RF inside it. At 100%, this will have 1,000 million or a billion RF. But you can see I've got a radiation monitor here, and because this thing's at 99.2% purity, even though this isn't sealed in here, it's actually perfectly safe for me to boot this on here. And you'll see that I'm going to produce a bit of radiation when this turns on. We're going to slowly tick up. Out here, there's no radiation yet. We're going to tick up slowly. That's because there's a few holes here. But we're going to tick slowly up through the radiation. It's not going to be terrible, and we've already topped that out. So we've already maxed out our 4 million. And this 35 radiation is going to slowly tick away. Now that's because that's a manufactured crystal. As I said, if we were using a normal crystal, if we were using a crystal that we found in the wild, that would be generating 200,000, roughly 200,000 radiation in exchange for about 200 RF per tick. So how do we go about making better crystals? Well, the first thing we need is we need to make the machines. And for that, you're going to need a whole bunch of deep resonating plates. This is actually a different recipe to the standard one. The standard one is resonating plates, iron, and I think it's gold to make these. But you make these general machines. And the machines you're going to want to make to start with are the smelter, the purifier, the infusing laser, the lens, and the crystallizer. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to make yourself a tank of decent quality resonating fluid. So if we make ourselves a couple of tanks, which are nice and cheap, and we put a tank on top of here, we want 6,000 millibuckets of decent quality resonating fluid. And to get 6,000 millibuckets, we're going to need 30 resonating ore. So we can grab 30 resonating ore, and we can throw that in there, and it will make us 6,000 millibuckets. The problem is, the quality is important. You can see over here, we've got some 82% quality. That means none of its stats are going to get above 82. And it's going to be very hard to get them up to 82. But over here, we've got three barrels of 100% quality. So how do we get the quality? The quality is based upon the lava amount in here. To get 100% quality, you need between 60% and 40% in a tank. Now, when you're using a single tank, which we have over here, when you're using a single tank, to get between 60 and 40%, you're looking at between roughly 7,000 and roughly about 4,500. So you're looking at a very small space of between 60 and 40%. So you're going to have to baby it and feed it backwards and forwards, especially if you're melting 30 ore. The advantage is these tanks combine together. So this is one whole big tank. If I actually look inside, you can see that there's no dividing walls, and you can see that the amount it stores is 64,000. So 60 to 40% of this is between 38,000 and 25,000. So we have a 13 bucket range that we can work in, and 13 buckets is more than enough to melt the amount we're looking to melt. So we can actually get this up if I don't have a lag spike. There we go. Just wanted to, just trying to figure out the thing. So 32 would be 50%. We add 6 so we can get. Ooh, hello. Little bit of lag going on, but that's fine. So we can get this up to 38. It's technically 38.4, but 38 is fine. And then what we can do is we can throw this in here, and this will melt down, along with a little bit of RF. This will melt down our 30 ore, and it will turn each one into 200 millibuckets of 100% quality. I like to use the RF tools control to monitor the levels and auto transfer RF and to keep the exact right amount. Yes, you can, but it takes a little setting up, shall we say. Whereas in reality, 4 of these, and you can just leave it like that. And that'll give you your 6,000. If you want to automate it, you can. As Electrified said, you can use the RF tools controller to monitor the amount of fluid and pull in and out. I've not really used the RF tools fluid monitoring much. Because it's the RF tools, where is it? It's not the builder, locator, composer, liquid monitor. It's this guy. I've not really used these guys very often. APL. So then what you want to do is whack it on top of this thing. This is the purifier. This uses up filters, which are just made from charcoal and sand. And in exchange for filters, it purifies your fluid. Now with 100% quality, it's going to get it up to 85%. And the purity is what determines how much radiation it's going to kick out. The worse the purity, the more radiation it's going to kick out. So you want to have a nice high purity. And the way you make this even better, because it's going to come out as 85, 10, 10. So 10% strength means it's going to have approximately 1 million RF. And 10% efficiency means it's going to kick out approximately 2,000 RF per tick. Finally getting around to playing Prey. Ooh, Prey is a very good game. So what you need to do to improve that is you need to use the laser and the laser lens. And what you do is you throw in the crystals you find in the wild, which are otherwise useless. The crystals you find in the wild go in this slot and give you crystal resonance, which is this stuff. And we throw in some power, and then we throw in a catalyzer and we zap it. So over here, this is what we get from different zaps. Ender pearls can get us up to 100% purity, which is what we want to be aiming for. But we also want to look at getting up into the high strength and efficiency rating. This one's up at 85 purity, 70 strength, and 65 efficiency. Now, 70 strength and 65 efficiency is fine. It would be good if we could get it higher. So we can get the efficiency slightly higher if we use blaze. But you can see that all of these reduce the purity, so we'd have to put it back through. Now, a gas tier might not be a bad idea, because that's plus 25% strength, plus 15% efficiency. And you can see that this is the maximum, basically. This is how much it can get up to. So with nether quartz, we could up the efficiency up to 80%. It would reduce the purity, but that's fine. And it won't affect our strength. So we can actually get the efficiency up to 80%, which is kind of not a bad idea. Now, if we had some gas tiers, it would be great, because we could use gas tiers to finish it off. But for now, we're just going to throw some of these in, and we're going to see the laser is going to be a nice bright yellow, nice bright white, sorry, because it's nether quartz. And this is going to tick up the efficiency. Hey, TJ Wolftooth, hey, Beard Freak. How are you doing, guys? And you can see that our efficiency is ticking up. We can get that up to 80% using this. Now, even though it says plus 7, and it's not any way increasing it by 7, it's increasing it by about 0.6. That's because of the amount we have in the tank. The more you have in the tank, the less efficient or the less effective it's going to be. If you had, I believe it's 500 millibuckets, then it does it in one full, like it will do 7% at a time. But that just gets a little bit awkward to make a crystal later on. So we're getting this up to 80%. In the meantime, while that's ticking up to 80%, what else can we use? We could use dimensional shards. That could get us our strength up to 80%. As I said, we could use gas tiers. That would get us up to 100% in each. And we could use nether stars. That would get us up to 100% in each. But, as well, it's got a minus 60% purity. Now, you don't have to worry too much about heavy minuses on the purity, as long as your purity doesn't drop below 20%. Because if your purity drops below 20%, it's then going to start impacting your quality. So that's up to 80%. That's as far as that can go. It's then going to start impacting your quality. And if your quality drops too low, it's going to start impacting how higher effectiveness you can have. So at this point, what we could do is we could throw this under the crystallizer and it would produce us a crystal of 83% purity, 70% strength, and 80% efficiency. But in reality, we've already got a crystal going, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, as it comes to the generator, and this is what one of the things we're going to be working on through the rest of this episode, is making this kind of like what we want it to be. But the generator produces radiation. That's why it's inside dense obsidian. That acts to block a lot of the radiation. But the generator at the moment is made up of 2 generator blocks, an energy collector, a controller, a pedestal, and a crystal. Each pedestal can have 1 crystal sitting on top of it. Each generator block can absorb up to 10,000 RF. And this is a big mistake a lot of people make. They use a single generator block, and then they use a crystal that produces more than 10,000 RF per tick. These things can't absorb it anymore. It also acts as a 1 million energy buffer. So you can have 1 million energy buffered in here. The collector can collect energy from up to 2 crystals, and the controller controls it all. So if you want, you can have 20 crystals, 10 energy collectors, and 100 generator blocks. Well, probably not 100 generator blocks, probably more along the lines of 40 generator blocks, all attached to a single controller. But every single crystal is going to output its own radiation. And that's why we create dense obsidian boxes. The dense obsidian boxes help to protect from the radiation. The problem we have at the moment is we have to have holes in the dense obsidian box to control it. We need to have a hole for the lever, we need to have a hole for the energy crystal, for the energy cable, and then we need to have a hole so that we can just basically monitor it. I want to get rid of those holes because those holes affect the spread of radiation. And to do that, I'm going to be looking at translocators or transdimensional or dimensional transceivers from Ender.io. These things can transfer items and power, and you don't need to worry about kind of like distance and things like that. Like, these things will transfer items and power across dimensions. I could set this up in the end or in the nether if I wanted to. At the moment, I've set it up in a place that's reasonably safe because the transmission of radiation is based on distance. Hey, Sammy. Hey, Pi. Welcome to the stream. The transmission of radiation is based upon distance. So it's 10 chunks from my base, which is a decent distance, and it's also right up in the sky. Because it's got no solid blocks around it, it's not going to be able to infect any solid blocks with radiation apart from this marble, and that's going to slow down our radiation. Does radiation kill you? Yes, it does if it gets high enough. When radiation gets up to about 2,000, you're going to be starting to get things like hunger. If radiation gets up much, much higher than that, if you're talking about like 50,000 radiation in an area, then you're going to start taking things like wither and periodic burning damage and nausea effects and all of the things that can result in your death. So we want transceivers because if we seal it inside deep, dense obsidian, that's going to be much more useful. We also can turn in 64 dense glass as one of our quests. So 64 dense glass is one of the quests we can turn in. Hello? Server? Server dead? Has Electrofried killed the server? This is a good question. It would appear Electrified may have killed the server. Okie dokie, Sammy. Thank you very much for popping into the stream. That's fine. My base never has anything on the ground. Worst scenario, you clear my crusher. Yeah, this is one of the things, guys. Make sure your base doesn't ever have stuff on the ground, like items spilling out onto the ground. I know several servers that have just set up command blocks that do ground item purging periodically. Please say hi to Xana for Bad Wolf and I. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, Sammy. Turn world in Fallout. You can, Rosa. In fact, that's one of the kind of evil things that 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 you can do on multiplayer servers is you can use the crystals you find in the wild, because they are so woefully radioactive. So woefully radioactive. Hey, Salnex, welcome to the stream. Because they are so woefully radioactive, you can actually use the crystals you find on the ground in the world to irradiate people's bases. Like, you can actually, like, throw down an unprotected generator just outside of someone's claimed chunks and just flat out irradiate their base to hell. Doesn't even matter if the radiation isn't allowed to spread into claimed chunks. The radiation around their base will then cause, like, radiation to leak into their base and make their base uninhabitable. It's a really, really bad idea, because it's the kind of thing that will get you perma-banned from servers. I promise I've never done this before. Okay, maybe I did it once, but it was on a friend's server and he knew what I was doing. I just wanted to see if it would work. Exclamation point ban. Exactly. Okay, so we want to get into dimensional transceivers. And to get into dimensional transceivers, we need electrical steel. Electrical steel is iron, coal powder, and silicon. Super easy to get. The most difficult thing to get is silicon, but we can actually just cook up crushed quartz, or we can sag mill up sand if we need to. The octadic capacitor is a combination of vibrant alloy, which is energetic alloy, and ender pearls. We've got a decent number of ender pearls from our farm. Fused quartz, nice and easy to get. So the two things that we're looking at that are more difficult is ender crystal and ender resonator. So the ender crystal needs a soul binder, and for a soul binder we need one of every skull. Now what I could do is I could spend the entire of this stream running around hunting skulls, or I could have done that before this stream, and I did. The tick to this is to use an ender sword. The ender sword gives you an increased chance of getting a skull. And that's not an increased chance of getting a skull from Enderman, that's just an increased chance of getting a skull from any mob. It increases the head drop chance on all mob types. So, thanks to the Ender, I managed to get all of those together. So we should be able to put together very quickly and easily a soul binder. So we need a soul machine casing, and we need solarium, and we need the heads. Soul machine casing requires soul attuned dye. That's organic brown dye, which is just broken twigs and... I think it's twigs and... was it twigs and mulch? Or twigs and prunings. You can get this from breaking down grass. You can get it from breaking down shrubs, ferns, dead bushes, leaf blocks, etc. This is considered to be a secondary output, so using a ball that increases secondary output is very much advised, unless you're using the shrubs, in which case a primary output is a good idea. Now, I've already made some organic dye. It's pretty simple to make. You've seen me make dyes on stream earlier. So we should have everything we need. We are missing 2 crushed soul powder, which means we need solarium, and we need to crush that up. That's not a problem. Nope, crystals only produce radiation if they are being actively used to generate power. I do believe the server rollback, the item erasure of the items on the floor has indeed erased the backlog in the crusher, because I'm pretty sure the last thing I put in the crusher was uranium, not iron. But yeah, you have to use an active generator for it to cause problems. There we go. We've got some solar tuned dye. We then need a simple casing, which we have. And we can make ourselves a soul casing. That sounds like to me like permission to lag at the server. What? Discord, why? No, that's fine, Electrified. To point out like where I am at the moment, I currently have about 200 of every ore and 500 copper, 500 iron, 500 gold, 900 iron ore, 400 lead ore, 200 osmium ore, 400 silver ore, all just sitting waiting to be processed. Irradiating the server was more about using deep resonance to cause debuffs in an area. Oh yeah, nasty big debuffs. But yeah, it won't cause any problems with your base if you just have the crystal stored in a chest. That's not going to do anything bad. So there we go, we have a soul binder. And the reason we want the soul binder is we need to combine a soul with a vibrant crystal, which is an emerald and vibrant nuggets. Now, can we make a vibrant crystal? I think we've got vibrant nuggets. We can indeed make a vibrant crystal. And earlier on, I went and got an Enderman Soul. Enderman Souls are the easiest soul to get because you can just pop to the end fortress and just grab an Enderman. Not difficult to get at all. Now, what you do need to do is provide this with a capacitor. I'm just going to provide it with a very basic capacitor for now. I'll turn on nuclear craft radiation once the system is stable in that mod too. I don't think nuclear craft radiation is ever going to be stable. It's never been stable in the past. And then we need to give it 6 bottles of experience. And it will combine those two things together. Now, one thing you can do is use this to make spawners and things like that. But yeah, we're adding a Enderman Soul to this crystal. And yes, it is kind of creepy. I will agree to that. So there's the Enderman Crystal. Our Soul Vial, it's just fused quartz. Silver, we're watching Droid Stram, by the way. Droid Stram. No, don't watch the Droid Stram. No, bad Droid Stram. The other thing we need to do is we need to make another one of those casings. Thankfully, we have the spare material. Although we need iron rods first. And we need another casing because we need a slice and splice. And the slice and splice is a little bit simpler to make. We don't need specific heads. We don't need one of each head or anything like that. So it's a little bit easier to make a slice and splice. Sound like soul crystals from Skyrim. Kind of. Very, very similar. That's fine, Rosa. You're more than welcome to go and sleep whenever you want to sleep. I am not here to be a demandy Darren and tell you that you have to watch stream. I know you don't love me, Rosa. So what we need is a couple of energized metal gears. That's fine. We need a couple of infinity metal gears. Again, fine. The only issue with this system is, of course, that you have to swap the iron out manually because we have the other kind of iron. And then we need to make some energized nuggets. And we can make some energized gears from that without a problem. 1, 2. There we go. There's our 2 energized gears. Hey, Rashid. Welcome to the stream. And from there, we can make our slice and splice, which just requires dark iron fencing, 4 solarium, and a skull. I think we have all of that. It puts in the wrong kind of skull, but if we put in zombie, we've got a zombie head. Zombie head should work fine for our slice and splice. There we go. We now have less slice and splice. Everything naughty has been disabled with prejudice. Oh dear, he's gone on a disabling spree. Who was it this time? Who is spilling items out into the world this time with wild abandon? Do people not understand I have to stream on this server? It's not my server, it's a public server. People can do whatever the hell they want. Hey, Silverhunt, welcome to the stream. So I'm going to throw in probably some more lead ore and get some more lead on the cook. Not silver this time. It wasn't silver this time. Excellent. So what we need for dimensional transceivers is we need to make a ender resonator, which is vibrant alloy, solarium, silicon, and an ender head. Now, technically, we do need 2 of these. Not ender head, ender head. So we need 2 ender heads, 4 solarium, 4 silicon. And what else do we need? We need 2 vibrant alloy. And we need shears and axe. 2 vibrant alloy. And then we need shears and an axe. We're going to make an axe fresh. I swear it's not being lies. It's always silver. Silver's base is a nightmare of death and destruction. So we're going to put in axe and shears, and then we're going to put in... And the great thing about this mod, or this particular thing, is it always puts them in the right place. The reason we need two is we're actually going to need two of these things operational, so we do need a second crystal as well. But there's one, and there's the other one. So what these things do is these things allow the transfer of energy, liquid, and physical objects over innumerable distance for pretty much any reason. Like, you can transfer them any distance for any reason. So when we do this, I've already prepared the octadic capacitors. That's just a case of messing with ingots. So there's one, and the second one we need another vibrant crystal, and we need a little bit more fused quartz. So fused quartz is easy. We're just going to grab some quartz and throw it in our alloy smelter. And that's going to make us fused quartz. The vibrant crystal, we're actually going to have to go back and grab another soul vial. We're actually going to have to head, for a brief moment, back to the end portal. So we're going to pop back to spawn, we're going to fly over to the end portal, we're going to grab ourselves an enderman from the end. We're just going to glide there using our glider, because we're going to show off a little bit. Although I can't see the world. This is probably not good for the server for me to fly like this, but it's fine, as Gaming on Caffeine would say. I've been having a look at people playing the Feed the Beast. That's a big area being claimed by someone over here. Wow, someone has claimed a massive area. Who has claimed this massive area in front of me? Starmite22 has claimed a huge area right next to spawn. Fair enough. I've been watching Sky Adventures from Feed the Beast. I've been watching a bit of that from Gaming on Caffeine and a couple of other streamers. And it's been interesting. It's been an interesting little thing. It's very much like a cross between a standard skyblock and the old equivalent exchange skyblock. Can't remember what it was called. What was the equivalent exchange skyblock called? I think it might just have been called the equivalent exchange skyblock. Sky Exchange, that's what it was called. Seems like a weird combination between that. I've been watching people derp on it quite significantly. It's been quite entertaining to watch the derp. I'm just going to sail all the way down. Silver better check that? Why should you check that, Silver? It's a public server. Plenty of people can come on and create bases if they want. Bloop. So we're just going to grab a enderman in a vial, and that will allow us to make our second vibrating crystal. Yoink. Over here someone has created a little enderman farm, which is actually a very effective little enderman farm, to be fair. If we pop under here, we can just kind of draw in all the endermans. Although it sounds horrendous when we do. But then you can just farm up a whole bunch of endermen. I have Sweeping Strike on this blade, so it's actually extra effective at doing this. If you have a blade with Sweeping Strike, like, that's a pretty effective way of getting a few ender pearls if you want them. But we're going to make ourselves a second crystal, and then we're going to make ourselves two of the dimensional transceivers, and we're going to link them together. Yeah, reactors, especially if you've got a bunch of reactors running on a server, reactors can be a little bit crazy. Let's get that lead processing. And over here, we need to make ourselves another of the vibrant crystals. It shouldn't take more than a second. Let's have a look. Vibrant crystals. We need a little bit more vibrant alloy there. That's fine. And then we can make the vibrant crystal. And would you believe I killed some Endermen, so I have enough experience to do this. It's almost like I planned it. It's almost like I killed those Endermen intentionally. Now I wonder, does it come back around to having the Ender head at the front every time? Is it always specifically timed so the Ender head stops at the front every time? Does look like it. It looks like it's specifically timed to stop the Ender head at the front every time. That's pretty cool. And quite clever. What is this that has been posted? We have had a Geyso posted, I believe. Ooh, 600, 8,000, 1,000. Yeah, Thailand there is getting a little bit hefty. I love how there's somewhere there's 0 entities in compact machines, but somewhere there's two just connections. So there we go. We now have our dimensional transceiver. And the dimensional transceiver is going to be the core of how we're going to run our radiation machine safely. Now we can automate this thing to turn on and off whenever we want, things like that. Was around 33,000 entities. Yeah, I suppose for a server of this size, that many entities is not a problem, to be fair. So we do need a little bit of energy to kickstart this. So what we'll do is we'll go and grab one of our things. Rosa, I've just finished installing OBS. Figuring out the whole Stram thing. It's not that difficult, Rosa. I think one of the biggest problems with figuring out the Stram thing is just figuring out the pipples. The pipples are not the easiest thing to figure out with the Stram thing. So many pipples. Doing so many things. So we're just going to grab one of these and we're just going to pre-charge our dimensional transceiver. I'm going to pop you here and we're going to set you to... Actually, we probably don't want to set you to anything, to be fair. I thought you could set it to both, but... There we go. Because I think none classifies as both. There we go. You are slowly draining power, but that's fine. We've got the send-receive buffer. And then energy, we're going to create a new network. We're going to call this radioactive fun. And we're going to make it a private channel and we're going to create that. And we're going to have this receive radioactive fun. All the radioactive fun is going to come into here. You should ask Droid for help. He was just telling me the other day how much he loves people coming and asking. I don't mind people asking for help with streaming. What I don't like is people who come on streams and their only interaction with a streamer is to ask for help on streaming. You get that a lot as a streamer. Is if you're streaming, you'll get people who come on your stream and literally the only thing they do is give you 500 questions on like, how do I do this on OBS? How do I set this up? How do you have a face cam? How do you have all stuff that's pretty easy to learn just by reading a Google document? I I don't mind people who have other interaction with the stream, people who are nice and like do other things. Just coming and chilling out on the stream. Streamlabs OBS looks fancier. Streamlabs OBS just has Streamlabs built into it. It's got a nicer GUI, basically. Hey, Doggy Man, welcome to the stream. My favourite thing is when people come onto stream and demand to join whatever game it happens to be you're playing. That's another fun one. You'll get people who come on stream and be like, what server you on? Give me the server address. And it's like, I'm playing on a single player world. Well, you're useless. And then they immediately leave stream. It's like, okay, fine. Thank you very much for coming on my stream. I'm okay, Doggy Man. That was one of the things I hated about the earlier version of Raft. The earlier version of Raft didn't have a way for you to make a world private. Oops. No! Why did you change your name? Now I can't remember the trademark symbol. Let's grab a little bit of polished marble out of here just to fix the hole in the floor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our dense obsidian from in here. And we're going to finish off our little cube of power. Like so. Now the other thing we want is we want an RF, a redstone receiver, sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a redstone receiver from RF tools. We're going to make a redstone receiver and a redstone transmitter from RF tools. Now, they are a little bit expensive in a way, but to be honest, most of this is just redstone, and we have a bunch of redstone. We have, I think, redstone in the several hundreds of redstone. So there's our redstone receiver. Oops, I'm making block now. Redstone receiver. What are you missing? Comparators. Receiver. There we go. Redstone receiver. Yeah, because we're on a server, sometimes this doesn't update properly. And then a redstone transmitter. What are we missing? We are missing the thing from the center, which is a machine base. That's fine. A redstone transmitter. There we go. So we have a transmitter and a receiver. Excellent. So we're going to put the transmitter in here. We're going to grab our wrench from in here. Nope, that's the redstone transmitter. Wrench. And then we're going to put the controller down here. And we're going to put a dimensional transceiver at the back there. And we're going to give it a capacitor, and we're going to say... like so. And we're going to say, send to radioactive fun. And because this has an attachment somewhere else that's receiving power, it's fine. So this is basically our setup. We have two generators that are receiving 15,000 RF per tick through the energy collector. We have a resonator that has a receiver, analog mode. Output the same power level as the input instead of always 15. Yes, that's fine. And it's set to channel -1. That's fine. We're going to set it to channel 1, which is the same as this guy. So we've got the channel set up correctly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to seal this in. And we're going to add a little bit of extra deep resonating or deep obsidian where we can. Now, one thing a lot of people make the mistake with is when they want to get less radiation, they actually put a second layer on the outside. Always leave an air gap between the two. You'll actually get a better calculation. And we just got kicked from the server. Do you need to seal the corners? You don't need to seal the corners, Silver Hunter. It does improve the radiation protection slightly if you seal the corners. It does slightly improve the radiation protection if you seal the corners. but it's not 100% necessary. Hey, yes to says yes. Welcome to the stream. io.netty.channel at .abstract at a noted connection connect exception. Huh. It's just the daily restart. Oh, it didn't give any announcements because the timer's off. Oh no, it did give an announcement. Oh, I didn't see the announcement. My fault. I didn't see the announcement. So the server's restarting. We'll be back on in a second. So what we're then going to do is we're going to set up a chain of energy storage, basically. We're going to set up some energy storage. And we're going to set the energy storage coming out of the dimensional transceiver and then going into the dimensional transceiver. And we're going to set up a comparator that's going to... Stalker! Electrofiend, do not stalk. Do not stalk Rosa, Electrofiend. I'm sure she will put an announcement up when she strams, because she's definitely going to stram. A small tip with OBS, Rosa, while we're waiting for the server to restart. Small tip with OBS. With Minecraft, you're much better off using window capture than you are using game capture. Scenes in OBS are basically just different pages that you can put your stream on. You don't actually need to have multiple scenes. A scene is just it's basically a canvas on which you draw what you're going to be streaming. Not only did you both type it at the same time, Electrofiends, you both typed it with the spaces. So this is now our sealed block. We can leave an air block around it and put an additional layer of dense obsidian in. We do need to make 64 dense obsidian glass to hand in for a quest, which we can do now. There we go. Now, dense obsidian glass you can use to make the chamber. But the thing with that is it's actually not as protective as dense obsidian. Dense obsidian is actually a better sealer than dense glass. So you're actually just better off using dense glass all around. Or dense obsidian all around. So there we go. That's all sealed off in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to head back to the base with our NG conduits. I did pick up the NG conduits, didn't I? Yeah, I picked up the... What? I had my glider on. Your glider turns off when you log back into the server. Yeah, your dark iron glider turns off when you log back into the server. God damn it! I'm so used to having gliders that don't auto turn themselves off. Oh, that's annoying. I hope I can still find my dimensional transceiver. I'm so used to having gliders that don't turn themselves off when you log off the server. So, let's see. What have we got? We've got our dark iron chestplate, our dark iron helmet. Wait, like my glider is on. Why am I taking full damage if my glider's on? Why am I taking that much full damage if my glider's on? What the hell, game? Where's my dimension? Oh no, I've already put the dimensional transceiver down. That's good. We've got our capacitors. Yeah, that's fine. We've got everything that's important. If we've missed... This glide has been dodgy. Let's do the old sword style of transportation instead. Did I see your other message? What other message, Luma? What other message? Hi, Wood, hi, Ripdroid. Are you going to ignore... Like, what other message, Luma? First, like, solar power, like, what? What message is it you want me to respond to? You said hi. Yeah, you said hi, and I greeted you at the beginning of the stream when you first logged in and said, do you remember me? What? If I've already greeted you once in a stream, I'm not going to say hello to you every time you say hi. That's a good way just to get thousands of people saying hi hundreds of times in chat. I'm not going to say hello to you every time you say the word hi in my chat. We need to make sure that we've engineer hammered this to be the correct way around. So I need my engineer's hammer out. You will do. So we need an input on this side and an output on this side. Like so. That's fine. Bloop. And this is going to be basically our comparator block. So let's hammer all of these as well. We're going to go nothing, 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 nothing. Now I'm pretty sure these things can take in 20,000 per tick per side, but I'm not 100% sure. What are you building? I am building a power block, a power array. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up input, 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 input. Input, 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 input. Now I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to be perfectly fine. Where did you learn to build these? I basically make these things up almost as I build them. I built a thing similar to this last time I did deep resonance. So we're going to make another comparator. So. And probably going to go back in this direction into this wall. And hide the comparator, because what we want is we want the comparator to output a signal when this block is full. So what we're going to do is we're going to have this coming out, and then we're going to have probably going to go this way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then we're going to put down a redstone torch. We'll pop down a redstone torch at the end here. Have you any interest in Blackout Droid? Have I asked you this before? I have no idea what Blackout is. So now that should be sending a redstone signal. And there we go. These things are filling up. And actually this thing can't take 20,000 per tick. So that's going to be a bit of an issue. I wonder if it can take 20,000 per tick per side. So if I give it a second input and we give it a second side, yeah, it can take it can take 4,000 per tick per side. So you can see that this is now producing a signal because that's filling up. And what we're going to do is we're going to run that signal all the way down here, and then we're going to put a repeater at the end. And we need to put a repeater at the end to make sure we don't get backlash on the signal, like so. So what's going to happen is as this thing fills up, it's going to affect the comparator. The comparator is going to tick up here as it fills. Once the comparator reaches the repeater, it's going to turn the redstone torch off, or it should turn the redstone torch off. 1 second, I need to adapt this ever so slightly. To put you there, I need to put the redstone torch here, and then I need to put a block here, and the redstone torch needs to go on the block. There we go. So once this signal reaches the repeater, it's going to turn the generator off again. So this thing will now basically auto-manage my generator for me. It will turn the generator on and off when it needs to get turned on and off. The only issue is we need to be able to basically wire this thing up so that it's got 20,000 in and out. Now, 20,000 in and out is a lot. I'm wondering what the best method we would have for actually having 20,000 in and out available on a single thing. If we wanted 20,000 in and out available on a single thing, how would we do it? Because we have the capacity banks going up to vibrant capacity bank. But the vibrant capacity bank has a max in and out of... Actually, that's got 1 million. That's 25 million. So that might actually have the amount of... That's 25k. Yeah, so we're probably going to go with the vibrant capacity bank as our in and out comparator detector. So we're going to need 4 octadidic capacitors and another vibrant crystal. The octadidic capacitors are going to be the expensive bit, because each octadidic capacitor requires 2 dual layer capacitors. So we're going to require 8 double layered capacitors. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8, nice and easy. We're going to require to make 200 of these anyway in the future, so I don't know why I'm worried about making blinking 8. So we're going to need to make 200 of them. So we're going to need to make a whole bunch of vibrant alloy. Oh, my partner still has a headache. My partner had a headache when she went to work this morning, and it's still throbbing away. Poor thing. Snuggle bumps for the partner. So we're probably going to use that as our in-out, because, to be honest, like, we can set up the you can set up the deep resonating generators so they're generating hundreds of RF per tick. But we don't really need to. We don't need to set it up so it's generating hundreds of RF per tick. So double layer capacitor octadic. So we need to create some more vibrant alloy. For that we need energized alloy. And we need ender pearls. Let's make 16 vibrant alloy. So as far as quests go, we now need to look at item conduits and the power of aesthetics. So these things require a ton of ender pearls. These things require us to have a ton of ender pearls. And that basically means we need to set up some kind of mob farm. And in this mod pack we have a woot. And woot is going to be probably where we're going to go. So we need a Yar hammer to start with. Yar hammer's pretty easy to get together. It's just string bone and a piece of rotten flesh. That's fine. And the reason we need that is we're going to need to make Stygian ingots. And the only real way to make Stygian ingots at the moment is iron ore, soul sand, and netherrack. We're going to make probably like 32 Stygian iron ore. And then we're going to cook that up in a smeltery and make some Stygian ingots to start with. Hey, Reaper Seth, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm not against blackout. I'm not sort of like, ugh, blackout. But at the same time, I'm not massively bothered by blackout. There we go. 4 octadic capacitors. And that should allow us with a vibrant crystal. Because we've already got the electrical steel because we used it to make the... There we go. So that's a vibrant capacity bank. So this will act as a sort of better storage connector. Because this allows us to put 20,000 in and out, so we're not going to be wasting anything from our generator. And as our generator is only generating 14,000, we only need the one here. And we will say no, no, input on the back. Sucker for a good first-person shooter. See, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not an eternal fan of first-person shooters. Now you should be receiving power from Doodly Dad. Oh, this thing got switched around. That's why. We've got we lost our wrench from when we died. We lost the wrench. That's fine. It's not expensive. There we go. So that will now be sending a signal. That signal will turn on the generator, and that should start producing 25 or 14,000 redstone flux per tick. No? What's going on here? It requires a redstone signal to turn the generator on. No radiation detected. Why have you not turned on? I have the chunks loaded at the moment. These chunks are loaded. It may be because this is set to channel 1. It may be because the redstone torch on the side of the block is not interacting with the RF transmitter properly. If so, that should be a reasonably easy fix. Yeah, you're not receiving... Okay, so this is a reasonably easy fix. We just need a piece of redstone between the two. Like that. And then that will turn it on. And this will turn it off. That's fine. And there we go. We're only getting 5,000 in at the moment, because we're getting the output to all of these guys which are filling up. There we go. No, I've got a dark iron. I've got a dark iron glider attached. So this thing now will slowly start getting more and more as these things finish filling up. So that should be... There we go. This guy's getting 13,192, which is about the same. And now when this guy gets up to about here, it should automatically turn off. It should just auto turn off. Up here. It's not really any more complicated than an elytra. It's basically just an elytra that you make and wear on your back on an dark iron chest plate. It's basically an elytra you kind of... So let's have a look at the radiation in this area at the moment. The radiation over here is currently 184 and staying reasonably stable. The radiation over here, where we've got the opening, is currently at maxed out about 3,000. But what we can do is we can just tap this in here. And because it's going to turn off when that thing is mostly full, we're fine. And here we have a capacity of 20,000 RF, or 20 million RF. And then we've got another capacity of 25 million RF. And when it gets, as I said, about here, about to... I was aiming more for 20 than 17 than 18 million, but about here it's going to automatically turn off. And as power gets pulled out, it's going to automatically turn the generator back on. What's the effect of the radiation? The radiation will give you hunger at low levels. At higher levels, it's going to give you wither, blindness, slowness, poison, burning, nausea. It's going to have, at high levels, it's going to have some nasty effects. At very high levels, it's also going to poison the environment around you. But yeah, so that has set up a system whereby we can now basically just throw resonant crystals into there. Because we don't have to go in there ourselves very often, we do have a radiation suit for when we need to go in there. Because we don't have to go in ourselves very often, we could set up a... basically a system that auto-fills the crystals. Basically just using item pipes, because you can basically pump an item pipe into a crystal into a pedestal using item pipes, and when that pedestal doesn't have a crystal above it, it will replace the crystal automatically. We can also ramp this system up just by making a bigger dense obsidian box and throwing down another couple of generator blocks and another crystal, because the energy collector we've got can receive power from 2 crystals. So we could get this up to 40,000 energy per tick. But at the moment, with 25,000 input and output, just sitting here, this is a nice little self-contained system, and we can have 5 outputs here that we can then send to assorted machines in the area. If we wanted to, we could sync this back into the wall. We could sync the power system back this way if we wanted to, and have it inside the wall here with power coming out of the wall. We could sync it into the floor, but all in all, this is just the basic power system we're going to go with. Now, as far as the quests go, we want to set up Woot. So we've got some Stygian ingots going. We also want to set up some vats and some farms. So we want to make some farms and we want to make some vats. Because we want to do the Sunshine quest, the Liquid Sunshine quest. Now, Liquid Sunshine, I don't personally have a massive use for myself. But Liquid Sunshine isn't useless. I just don't personally see a massive use for it myself. So there's 32 Stygian iron ingots. And we've got a little bit more lead grit ground up as well. No, don't double cook the Stygian iron, you twit. As far as what we're going to throw next in the crusher, ore-wise, let's grab like 3 stacks of gold. They can go in the crusher next. 1, 2, 3. I've heard of power multipliers for generators in mods. Does that server have one? No, we don't really have power multipliers. The most basic power multiplier. It's not too difficult to farm sunflowers, Electrofiend, I don't think. Because I do have some sunflowers. And then I think, like, it's reasonably quick and easy to get sunflowers, because you just pop a sunflower down, and then you just throw bone meal on it, right? If memory serves. We just... Yeah, we can just produce sunflowers like this. The only thing you'd really need for that is some kind of auto placer or auto user. Which, we should have an auto user, because we've got RF tools. Doesn't RF tools have an auto user in it? I think my partner's got a migraine at work. That sucks. So, next thing we're going to look at is Woot. So, I'm not massively skilled in Woot, so let's grab the... There is no recipe for the installed GUI guide. Yay! Let's make a... So we need to make a Stygian anvil, I believe. That shouldn't be too hard. We need to make a Stygian iron block. So, and then we need to make a Stygian anvil. Not a problem. So now that we've made a Stygian anvil, we can start doing Stygian ore via the dust method, which is far more efficient. And for that we need a mesh die, which means we need Stygian iron plate, and we need some dark iron bars. Okay. So if we pop down this... What? Could make an easy sunflower farm in vanilla, although I never thought I would ever need to. What's your sunflower farm in vanilla like? Oh, I suppose, yeah, you've got, you could use water flow, and you could use, yeah, you could use a timer, a dispenser, a water bucket, and a, yeah, that actually wouldn't be too hard. A dispenser, 2 dispensers, a water bucket, a timer, and grass blocks. Yeah. Hello? Stygian anvil, how do I access you? Do I need to boop you with the Yar hammer? Hey, Bakasura-chan, welcome to the stream. How you doing, dude? Stygian anvil. So I've never used Woot before. And I'm a little bit confused about Stygian anvils. Oh, drop one of each ingredient on top of the anvil. Okay. So if I go like this and this. No. Okay. This is a learning curve for Droid. Then we're going to go ahead and stream some PUBG. Okie dokie, Reaper. Right click the red item first. Oh, it just needs iron bars, not dark iron bars. Ah, that would be where I'm making a fool of myself. Animal must be sitting on a magma block. That's fine. So we need to right-click the base item. I see. I get you. There we go. Haha! We have logic. We have droid learning things. Excellent. So we need to make these other plates as well. So we need a stone slab, we need a piece of redstone, and we need a nether quartz. Stone slab, piece of redstone, and a piece of nether quartz. No. Redstone, plate, hammer. And then nether quartz. Nope, nether quartz needs to be right-clicked on, droid. You've already started learning how to use this system. Stop getting it wrong. There we go. So we've got a bit of each of these. Excellent. Thank you, Super Lotus. How's my favourite synthetic life form? I'm okay. My brain was a little bit melty yesterday, but I'm fine. So factory layout. Right-click to change tiers. Sneak right-click to change levels. That doesn't look too hard to make. I believe this is going to be our instruction manual, correct? So here's our factory layout. So if we put that down, that tells us what we need to build each layer. Okay. So these are the black blocks, the red blocks, and then we've got the white, the purple, and the light purple. Okay, so let's see what these are. The black blocks are flesh casings, or bone casings, by the looks of it. So the black blocks are bone casings. The red blocks appear to be either flesh casings or blaze casings. That's not a problem. The purple blocks are guide blocks. Okay. The light purple block is factory heart. Okay, that's not a problem. Then we've got the factory controller, which requires a controller core, which requires a prism. Okay, again, that doesn't look too bad. It also requires an ender shard, which just requires us to hammer an eye of ender. Okay, that's not too bad. All of these look doable so far. And then we've got the white blocks, which are factory caps, which each require a skeleton skull. Ah, see, that's where we're going to have a problem. We don't have that many skeleton skulls. Okay, okay. So we need to go and fetch skeleton skulls. That's one of the things. That's one of the things we need to do. The other thing we need to do is we need to get hold of these different plates, factory base plates. Soul stone is made from stone, and soul dust, which is made from soul sand and the hammer. That's not a problem. Sounds like an arcane machine that uses light. It kind of is, in a way. Kind of is an arcane machine that uses life. So let's get like 20 of these, 22 then. And then we can make some of this soul stone. 44 soul stone. And these plates seem pretty easy to make, because we can make them in sets of 4 using 4 soul stone. Okay, so that's fine. We make those plates, and then we use those plates to make flesh casings, bone casings, blaze casings, ender casings, and nether casings. It's just a mob farm, basically, Bakasura. It's just a basic mob farm, but a complicated version of a mob farm. Ooh, headhunter enchantment. Interesting. So the prism, we need all the different dyes. That's not going to be a problem. Bone meal, rose red, dandelion, cactus green, lapis, all we can get on black ink. It's the orange and the purple dye that we'll have to make. So we made the red. We should be able to make yellow. Yeah, we made yellow. And then we can make orange easily enough. And I believe magenta's going to just fall in as well. Yeah, that's fine. So we can make the prisms nice and easy. Although we need bone meal. So we'll throw some bones into the sag mill for now. Got our nice fully charged sword, and we'll just throw some bones in here to get bone meal. So I think I'm guessing the nether stars, the nether casings, which require us to provide nether stars, that's going to be the top tier anyway. Kind of the opposite, Bakasura. It produces mobs. It produces mob drops. So rather than having to have mobs to kill, it's going to kind of basically fake produce mobs. It's supposed to be reasonably server friendly, but I've noticed that there's a big problem. Personally, I've noticed there's a big problem with back entities, where it actually has a backlog of entities. And that causes a kind of what do I want to say? That causes a kind of own form of kind of memory leak on servers, is that you can have a lot of back entities inside a high level woot spawner, just sitting there waiting to be kind of used, shall we say. There's some cactus green. We can make the prism nice and easily now that we've done that. So the prism is used for the factory core. Factory controller. No, not the factory controller. The prism is used for the factory exporter, the factory heart. No? Where's the prism used? Ah, the prism is used to make the controller core. That's fine. So we need a core die, we need Stygian iron plate. So we're going to need a lot of Stygian iron. By the looks of this thing is going to need us to produce a ton of Stygian iron. So that's fine. We now have an easier way of producing Stygian iron thanks to the Woot anvil. So what we'll do is we'll make ourselves a bunch of Stygian iron. Stygian iron dust is iron ore, soul sand, and netherrack. So we're going to take a stack of iron ore, a stack of soul sand, and a stack of netherrack, all of which we have in reasonable profusion. And then to make the dust, to make these, we're going to need the mesh dye. That's you. You're going to go on there. And now the question is, if we throw more than one of each of these items on here, what happens? It allows us to do the recipe multiple times. Yes. Brilliant. So you, and you. Dang it. Get on there. So that's not bad. 3 stacks of Stygian dust. That's actually not a bad conversion rate. I mean, we're talking about turning iron ore, which is readily available, soul sand, which is a little harder to come by, but still reasonably readily available, and netherrack, which is ridiculously plentiful, into the metal we use for this mod pack. So I don't think that's going to be a massive problem. And with our energy from the reactor, we should be perfectly fine to just have our Have our cake and eat it too. No, we should be perfectly fine just to run basically any root farm we want off that. I mean, 20,000 RF should run even pretty advanced root farms, I think, without too much of a trouble. So I'm going to come and put these things on our new power system for now, because our new power system is far more powerful. Also has a multiple millions backlog, so... And you, and we're just going to say... Furnace mode, cook me up this Stygian. And this is going to be using up energy from here, and that's going to slowly pull this back down, and that's going to turn the reactor back on, which means we're slowly going to, once this drops down low enough to cause a tick over, and the advantage is because there is a capacitor in the reactor that has 2 million capacity, this thing's going to be 2 million sort of overcharged. And because it's 2 million overcharged, we're going to have a nice little kind of backlog of power into the system. We're going to have a nice little backlog of power. In the meantime, I do want to make an experience rod. One of these guys. We can make nice and easily, and some tanks. To be honest, probably the best tanks we have at the moment are the tank is capacity of 4 liquid types. This block is meant for processor and cannot be otherwise used directly. I think probably the best tanks we have available are these tanks from Resonating Core. So I'm just going to pop down 3 of these tanks over here in this corner. So, and can I put my experience into these tanks? No, I can't put my experience into these tanks. So these tanks are useless for what I want them for. Fine. So those aren't the best tanks. Let's just grab a fluid tank. We're going to need some iron bars for that, but that's fine. We have plenty of iron. And we are going to need to switch out again because the recipe always defaults to the top recipe, which is always going to be the one that uses the other kind of iron. There we go. So we can keep our experience safe by doing that. We can just empty our experience out into there. So we're not going to have to worry about sort of losing experience again when we die. So we can always have a little bit of experience available just in case. So in the meantime, while that is working on that, let's have a look at the root farm again. So what we're going to need is we're going to need 12 of these black blocks, which I believe are the grey guide blocks, which are the bone blocks. So we need 12 bones. Luckily, we kept just enough. So 12 of the grey guide blocks. So yeah, that's these guys, I believe. And then we're going to need 8 of the red guide blocks. And those are rotten flesh blocks. So for that, we're going to need another bunch of these guys, which means we're going to need another bunch of Stygian plates. Thankfully, the Stygian plates aren't particularly expensive. Is that the best way to make Stygian plates? We can also make Stygian plates out of a single ingot on this if we use the plate die. So we might as well do that and get double the plates if we're not going to, drop them all on the floor, because we're going to need a lot of plates. There we go. So then we're going to need to make 8 more of these. That's not going to be a problem. 1, 2, and then we're going to need to make these. That's the orange ones. We want the red ones for now. That's rotten flesh. So there we go. We've got the grey and the red. That's grey and red done. And then we need... we need a few more back here. So we need another 2 grey and 1 more red. That's fine. We go to here, we'll make another one of these. So we need another 1 red one. And we need another 2 grey. There we go. So that's our grey and our red done. And then we need 2 of these purple guide blocks. Oh no, we need another red. We need another red one. Kind of hiding away some of what I need there, but that's fine. And then we need the heart, the controller, these 2 purple blocks, and the 2 caps. So the heart's not too bad. We need to make a core die, and we need a Stygian and a prism. We've got the prism, we've got the Stygian plate. I thought we had a core die. We do have a core die. Thought we did. I just accidentally put it away for some reason, but that's fine. So if we throw that, and then we'll pop it with a hammer. There we go, there's our core. And we also need an ender shard, which is made by putting an eye of ender, which we do have. Eye of ender on here. And bopping it with a hammer. There we go. There's some ender shards. And then we need to make a few more of these. Because, of course we do. Make all of them that we can. And then we should, if we put the ender shard, fully programmed ender shard, an unprogrammed ender shard. Hit mob with shard to capture kill mobs to fully program. Shard must be on your hotbar. Can be cleared in the crafting table. Okay. So we have to go and basically tailor this to a particular mob type. I think the easiest thing to do is if we head to the end. If we head to the end, we can tailor this to Enderman to start with. Because the Enderman is going to drop Ender Pearls, which is one of the major things we need for the quests. We need a lot of Ender Pearls to make Vibrant Alloy, and we need a lot of Ender Pearls to make us Vibrant Alloy, and what's the other one we need? Pulsating Iron, which is what we need for completing 2 of the quests. Sort of half-completed stairs down here. Fell asleep from exhaustion. Poor Lycan. So if we blop an Enderman with this and then we kill Enderman, we should be charging this up. And we need a ton of Ender Pearls for completing the quest. I mean, 200 double layered capacitors is going to mean a lot of Ender Pearls. So if we blop an Enderman with one of our shards, Ender shard, programmed to Enderman. Fully programmed. Oh, it doesn't take a lot to program these anyway. So there we go. We've got a fully programmed Ender Shard. I wonder if the Woot farms only farm whatever you've programmed it to then. So do you need a different heart programmed for each mob? And then you swap the hearts out as and when you kind of want them. So we've got you, and then we need you, and then we give it a bloop with a hammer. And there we have an Enderman, a tier 3 Enderman core. Ah, does that need to be at least tier 3 to work? Oh, now there's interesting. Okay, I'm starting to get the idea of how this works now. So what we need to do is we need to associate something with a tier 1 mob. So I'm going to guess skeletons or zombies, just on the sort of idea that these are pretty low level mobs. So if I bloop you with a shard, we need to kill a mob of that type, and that gives us a fully programmed zombie shard, and then we can probably grab a skeleton or a creeper as well, depending on which one we see first. That's another zombie. Don't care about you. That's another zombie and a spider. That's a spider. Don't really care about the spiders, to be fair. That's a llama. Probably don't need to worry about killing a llama. Funny enough, when you don't want skeletons, you see lots of skeletons. When you do, you see lots and lots of not skeletons. Dang it! I got caught on a bloody tree, so I couldn't back off fast enough. Now I have to find another creeper to kill. There's a creeper. That didn't count either. Of course not. God freaking damn it. Oh, the evilness that is this game sometimes. And there's a skeleton, and I can't reprogram the shard to be a skeleton shard because I've already programmed it to be a creeper shard. I mean, getting creepers up and running would be quite useful because of gunpowder. Gunpowder is a great source of processing power for deep resonance. So it would help us get our crystals up. A ghast would be super useful. I need skeleton heads anyway because I need to do the caps, the tier 1 mob caps. And those require skeleton heads. So I'm going to go around killing these skeletons anyway because I need skelly heads. And the bones don't hurt. I was getting a little bit hurt there, so I kind of noped out. I tell you what, it's going to be a lot of crafting to get the woot spawner up and running, and it seems like the stream has quietened down a little bit. We've got 6 people viewing. I tell you what, let's go and see if we can do a little raid. We probably won't succeed in doing a little raid, but we'll see if we can have a little raid. And thank you very much for watching, but I will probably call the stream here. We've been streaming for an hour and a half, and we've got 6 people watching. Let's just see if we can't drop a little bit of love on someone. Go on then. Captain Britain, why not? A fellow British YouTuber. So /raid Captain Britain. That's not a valid username. Yes, it is. Captain Britain. Slash raid Captain Britain. Captain Britain. Are you case sensitive? You might be case sensitive. Invalid username. That is not an invalid username. I'm on his channel right now, you lying little sods. Copy it from his blinking Twitch channel. There we go. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will see you all in another stream. Bye-zy bye, everybody. Bye-zy bye.